Media practitioner and filmmaker Comrade Alex Enyego is the spokesman of the Olu-Bushere descendants of Warri Kingdom. He's also the publisher of Warri Mirror magazine. He speaks on issues bordering on the purported suspension of the Olu-Bushere Ayiri'S and the recent glamorous coronation of Ogiame Atuwashe III, among others. He was asked, why was your Olu-Bushere not at the glamorous, well-attended coronation ceremony of the Olu designate Omoba Shola Emiko? He responded, what do you mean by your Olu-Bushere? Chief Ayiri'S is the Olu-Bushere of Warri Kingdom and not just my Olu-Bushere. He did not attend the said coronation because he is before a court of competent jurisdiction challenging the process that led to the emergence of Prince Shola Emiko as the Omoba and Olu designate of Warri Kingdom. Next, he was accused of trying to tear apart as well as usurp the powers of the Giniwa One ruling house by trying to smuggle in his own candidate for the Olu throne, contrary to tradition of the kingdom. How so? Talk, particularly in form of accusation, is cheap. The onus of proof is on them. The Olu-Bushere has no role whatsoever in the emergence of the Omoba because that is exclusively the mandate of members of the Giniwa One ruling house. He was not in any of their meetings. To pick the Omoba, the Olu-Bushere is the chairman of the Olu Advisory Council, whose responsibility is to receive the letter transmitting the name of the Omoba selected by the Giniwa One ruling house. After months of delay, 2 letters selecting 2 different Omobas were transmitted to the Olu-Bushere, one signed by Prince Emmanuel Okotiebo, nominated Prince Shola Emiko, while the other letter signed by Chief Diemiyi Dudu Akoma selected Prince Ayowole Ekinwale Emiko. This was the situation which the Olu-Bushere-led Olu Advisory Council made deliberate efforts to manage. So, how does this translate to having his own candidate tear apart or usurp the powers of a divided Giniwa ruling house? These people should just stop being economical with the truth. The Olu-Bushere was also alleged to have denigrated the Giniwa One ruling house by shredding and packaging back a letter sent to him to find out why he was delaying presenting the candidate before the 7-member Olu's Advisory Council. He responded, to start with, the Olu-Bushere did not delay for 1 day the presentation of any candidate to the Olu Advisory Council. Rather, it was the factional problem within the Giniwa One ruling house that delayed the presentation. The Olu-Bushere eventually presented Prince Shola Emiko as candidate of the Olu Advisory Council as soon as possible after due consultations over the 2 candidates sent to him by the 2 factions of the Giniwa One ruling house. The issue of denigrating the Giniwa One ruling house is mere propaganda taken too far. In fact, it was a faction of the Giniwa One ruling house led by Prince Emmanuel Okotiebo that sent out to denigrate the Olu-Bushere by deliberately addressing him wrongly in a letter sent to him where they equated him with the Iyashere and other chiefs. This was a sharp departure from previous correspondences from them to him. It was this letter he shredded. However, because they knew they were wrong, Prince Okotiebo was brought to the Olu-Bushere the following day by Prince Yemi Emiko, where he, Okotiebo, apologized profusely to the Olu-Bushere for the deliberate and calculated attempt to denigrate and undermine him. This happening is an undeniable fact. We learned that the Olu-Bushere was admonished by the Olu designate prior to coronation to write and publish an apology to the Shekiri nation over his alleged misconduct, as well as use his network of people to help retrieve the missing crown and other artifacts to calm frayed nerves. Why has he not done so? This is hearsay and indeed abrasiveness of the likes of Chief Brown Mene. The Olu designate prior to the coronation never told the Olu-Bushere anything of such and could not have said so. Write and publish a letter of apology for what and over what? Apologize for saying that the extant law guiding the succession of the Olu of Warri throne should be followed. Misconduct for doing the right thing in the overall interest of the Shekiri custom, traditional and extant laws. I don't really understand these people. They know those who are in custody of the missing item. It is those who invaded the palace of the Olu of Warri in the dead of the night. They should stop chasing shadows and go after the real targets. In any case, they have petitioned the police over these missing items, and we are still awaiting the police to fish out those who perpetrated the acts. Why did he opt for the courts to challenge the process of selection of new Olu over the so-called declaration that's said to be clear on the criteria of selecting an Olu, which the current Olu fulfilled? Going to court was the right thing to do because the other alternative left for him was to resort to self-help. Mind you, he did not rush to court. He was purportedly suspended in March 2021, and he did not go to court until July 2021. This meant that he gave room for well-meaning Ishekiris and friends of Ishekiri to mediate, but all such mediation failed. As a journalist, I expect you to know that what you are describing as so-called declaration edit is the exact laws guiding the succession to the Olu of Warri throne, because the matter is already in court. I will not take you up on your claim of who fulfilled the selection criteria or not, because such comments by me or anybody may be sub judice at this point. We learned that Olu kept saying that unless he would say with his own mouth that the transition of the late Ekinwale has happened, it has not happened. Why was he parading himself as an Olu? Again, as a journalist, I expect you to know that he was saying this in tandem with the provisions of the exact laws. How does this amount to parading himself as an Olu? Is it an Olu that will announce the transition of an Olu? Oh, please give me a break. Why fall for cheap blackmail and propaganda of these people? If you deny the above, how about allegedly wearing a t-shirt with the inscription "I'm the king" and displaying same on social media for all to see? He responded, yet another cheap blackmail and propaganda from them. This one is even very petty, to say the least. First, it was not a t-shirt, but a knicker with that very inscription. It simply means "I'm the fashion king." I'm very sure that the Olubosere Ayiri'S is very fashionable person. In fact, he had that knicker long before the transition of Ogiame Ikinwale, who himself has seen the Olubosere with that same knicker several times. These people just went to Facebook and picked a very old picture of the Olubosere with a knicker on that portrayed it as if the picture was after the passing of Ogiame Ikinwale. You can see how silly and petty some people can be. What will happen if the position of the Olubosere held by Chief Ayiri'S is not revalidated visa? The claim that it's the Olubosere dynasty that determines who should hold the title. He responded, to the best of my knowledge as a student of Ishekiri history, the tradition of revalidation and confirmation of chieftaincy titles by the holders under the reign of a new Olu of Warri is not part of our custom and tradition. Abinto, it started during the reign of His Majesty Ogiame Atuwashe II, CON, shortly after his coronation in 1987, when he said he was not going to confirm the then Olubosere of Warri Kingdom, Chief O.N. Rewane, and a group of chiefs who are members of the Ishekiri leaders of thought. Even at that, it was done by Atuwashe II unofficially, with no letter or media publication to that effect. When His Majesty Ogiame Ikinwale ascended to the throne, he made no issue out of this, but jokingly said to the chiefs he inherited from his predecessor that they should reach out to him as their new husband. In Ishekiri land, chiefs are seen as Ulu's wives. There was nothing official in form of letter, media publication, compulsion, or timeline to this. So, this one by this Ogiame is unprecedented. It is also unprecedented that the Council of Chiefs inherited by a new Olu was dissolved by him, as headlines in various newspapers report. In the same vein, the Olu Advisory Council, Ojoye Isa, is a statutory body made up of the Olubosere as chairman, with Iyashere, Uwangwe, Ojomo, and Oshodi as members. Members of this statutory body cannot be dissolved by Ogiame while they are still alive. It is like the executive arm of government announcing the dissolution of the legislative and judicial arm of the government in a democratic government. So, dissolving this organ is another unprecedented feat in Warri Kingdom. However, I believe that the organ and Olu can dissolve include, but not limited to, the Olu-In-Council and other committees, subcommittees, and so on, inherited or set up by him. This is what I know before now. Lastly, he was asked, should the Ologbosere of Warri Kingdom Chief Ayiri go for the chieftaincy revalidation and confirmation exercise? He responded, I don't think he would do that because he is in court before now challenging the entire process that brought in Atuwashe III as the 21st Olu of Warri. Participating in that exercise would be sub judice and seen as his endorsement of what he's already challenging in court. Also, some people believe that the whole sudden move is targeted at the Ologbosere of Warri Kingdom Chief Ayiri and all the chiefs perceived to be loyal to him. Personally, I'm persuaded to key into this line of thought, but I hope it is not true.